Okay, here's a bit of a strange idea, but bear with me. What if MTV never existed? Journey with me to a parallel universe where TV executives gathered round, discussed the proposal for music plus television, and said, no thanks. If it helps, maybe picture a handsome, charismatic executive giving a rousing speech about how it would be wrong, morally wrong, to take these two wildly different art forms and try and smash them together. Silence. You could hear a pin drop before a single colleague's slow clapping turns into universal applause and the plans are shelved forever. Because MTV wasn't inevitable. Many senior executives really had no confidence in the idea. They were proved wrong, very wrong, and popular culture was changed forever. If you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing to my free newsletter. There's a link in the description below.
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
MTV Music Television.
Call your cable company and say, I want my MTV.
So, what would history have looked like without it? What would Mark Knopfler have sung about on Money for Nothing? You play the guitar on the radio? That ain't working. Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles would cease to exist, and they instead record a song celebrating the successful continuity of radio. I heard you on the wireless back in '52, lying awake, intently tuning in on you, and nothing's changed since. If not glued to the small screen, how would the MTV generation have spent their days and nights?
Nothing you say can upset us. We're the MTV generation. We feel neither highs nor lows.
Really? What's it like?
The Baby Busters were said to lack a central theme like the hippies or the punks. They were a loose group supposedly defined only by their cynical attitude and love of music videos.
Let's watch something else, butthead.
Some critics of MTV said it shortened attention spans and promoted sexual recklessness, while others said it made rock music bland and corporate. In their song, MTV, Get Off the Air, Dead Kennedys sang lyrics like, and I hope you enjoy my dramatic reading of this, "My job is to help destroy what's left of your imagination by feeding you endless doses of sugar-coated mindless garbage, so don't create, be sedate, be a vegetable at home and thwack on that dial. If we have our way, even you will believe this is the future of rock and roll." So would Generation X have become known as highly focused, pious and strictly business rather than slackers? Would the 80s have been characterized by modest fashion and neutral color patterns? Would rock have splintered off in wildly different directions? Without the star-making power of the television screen, would hair metal have died an early death because the outfits were too embarrassing to wear out and about? How many more bands would have formed if the distraction of regular entertainment hadn't been on tap? Would the printed music press continue to thrive, or would teenagers have just switched to video games instead? MTV didn't actually invent the combination of music and video. In the USA in the 1940s, 3-minute black and white musical films called soundies were displayed on a panoram, the first coin-operated film jukebox. Supposedly, it was the Big Bopper who coined the term music video in 1959. Then there's the Scopitone films popular in France in the 60s that were distributed on colour 16mm film and made to be shown on a special visual jukebox. Scopitones became popular in Europe and the USA, but they were pretty much gone by the time the 70s rolled around because they had focused on an adult rather than teenage audience. The Beatles decided to focus on television appearances instead, and we know how that worked out for them. And Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody was a hit years before MTV launched. But the enormous and unexpected success of MTV meant labels ploughed money into making videos bigger, more complex, and more expensive than ever. Where would the music industry have focused its attention if not the high-budget music video? What about feature film? Elvis and the Beatles both found wild success with films that centered around their music, as did a little company called Disney, of course. Maybe the artists who benefited most from the added visual element and went on to become era-defining superstars, think Madonna, Michael Jackson, and Prince. Maybe we'd have seen more of those longer-form narrative pieces of work from them instead. Maybe we'd have seen Michael Jackson's equivalent of the Purple Rain movie, a 2-hour version of Thriller? Without MTV, talent at their level would have still broken through, but would it have gone truly global? A hit music video could make or break an artist, and quickly, too, all over the world. 80s megababe Pat Benatar said her whole life changed in just 1 week from the beginning of MTV. Suddenly, everyone recognized her on the street, and the channel made global superstars of many of the people still selling out stadiums today, well into their 70s. Would the industry have become less image-focused? Would the term "a face for radio" mean something completely different? By being all about the music, would they have added another 10 or 20 years to the album's golden era, a whole new batch of records to rival The Dark Side of the Moon? And there's one more important influence: editing.
Everyone eats Kellogg's bran flakes out here. Some say they bring good luck.
I was working as a waitress in a cocktail bar.
Tastes so great, you just love to chew it.
How you doing with that data?
Don't worry, I'm on top of it.
It's worth remembering that the music video changed our understanding of storytelling and editing techniques too. There was suddenly enormous creative freedom, a release from the strict confines of telling a story to a focus on making something visually stimulating, or a mix of both. Michael Mann, the executive producer of Miami Vice and Heat, said, "The conventional way of using music in Hollywood was to apply the music to picture, more or less, but MTV influenced editing. Now we were cutting picture to music, and the content of videos on MTV was often what you would today call fractals. They didn't have the beginning, middle, and end of a story. MTV forced feature filmmaking to evolve. You didn't need to bring an audience through so much clunky conventional exposition of the story. That kind of stuff was obsolete." Likewise, many young producers, directors, and camera operators all got their start in MTV as the gold rush of work meant the inexperienced were thrown in at the deep end and told to just work it out. And of course, reality TV began its global conquest on the channel too, with The Real World.
This is the true story. True story.
7 strangers picked to live in a loft
and have their lives taped
to find out what happens.
What?
When people stop being polite. Could you get the phone?
and start getting real.
The real world.
Although, if not MTV, I imagine it would have cropped up somewhere else soon enough. The Kardashians probably exist in infinite parallel universes, and yes, no, I never expected to bring up the Kardashians in one of my videos either. One thing that might well have happened is the death of the acoustic guitar, or at least the untimely end of some of the heritage brands still in business today. It's really no exaggeration to say that Eric Clapton and Nirvana on MTV Unplugged did wonders for the instrument's survival. The guitar had taken a serious knocking during the synthesizer and turntable boom of the 1980s. Martin guitars plummeted from 25,000 per year in 1978 to just 3,000 in 1983, a decline of nearly 85%. That same year, Taylor guitars sold just 3 guitars at the NAMM show and seriously considered shutting up shop. And Gibson's vice president also commented, "We're getting our lunch eaten by the video game industry. We don't stand a prayer." Luckily, with MTV Unplugged, their prayers were answered, and a new wave of inspired players picked up the instrument. Thanks, MTV. And thank you for watching and journeying into a parallel universe with me. There's so many options for how things would have turned out, so I would love to get your comments below, and I would also love to hear about your early experiences with MTV. As I mentioned earlier, I have a newsletter that I send weekly. It's free. You can, of course, unsubscribe anytime, but it's the best way for us to stay in touch. Please consider signing up using the link in the description. But as always, I'll be seeing you here again very, very soon.
Beavis and Butthead seek a safe and sensible alternative to bathing. Next.